The night was bitterly cold, the kind that bites through skin and seeps into bones. The wind howled like a wounded beast through the tall pine trees that surrounded the small wooden cabin at the edge of town. Inside, Emma Brooks wrapped her little boy, Danny, in an old quilt near the flickering fireplace. The woodpile was nearly gone, and she was down to her last can of soup. Life had been cruel lately. Her husband had died 2 years ago in an accident, and since then, it had been just her and Danny against the world. Snow slammed against the window panes, and the world outside disappeared into a white blur. Emma sighed, clutching the chipped mug of tea between her trembling hands. She thought the night couldn't possibly get worse, until she heard it. A deep rumble echoed through the storm, the growl of motorcycles. She froze. Out here in the mountains, miles from the nearest town, no one ever came by in weather like this. Fear prickled her skin. She peeked out the window and saw headlights cutting through the snow, several of them, moving slowly up her driveway. Her heart pounded. "Mom, who's that?" Danny whispered. "I don't know, sweetheart," Emma said, her voice low. "Stay here." She slipped on her worn boots and opened the door a crack. The cold slammed into her face. Through the snow, she saw 6 figures, bikers, covered in ice, their leather jackets stiff from frost. One of them, tall and broad-shouldered with a beard frozen white, stepped forward. "Ma'am," he said hoarsely, his voice half lost to the storm. "We're not here for trouble. We just need shelter, please." Our bikes froze up down the road. Emma hesitated. Every warning from every true crime show flashed through her mind. 6 strangers. Tattoos. Leather jackets. Bikers. She had her little boy to think about. But then she saw it, one of them was limping badly, and another was shivering so violently he could barely stand. She looked up at the sky. The snow wasn't stopping anytime soon. "Come in," she said finally, pushing the door open. "But just until morning." The men stepped in one by one, stomping snow off their boots, their breath clouding the air. The tall one introduced himself as Jack Bear Collins, leader of the Iron Kings Motorcycle Club. His crew looked rough, but their eyes held exhaustion, not malice. Danny stared at them in awe. "Are you real bikers?" he asked, voice full of wonder. Bear chuckled. "Sure are, kiddo. You ever seen one up close?" Emma gave him a sharp look, but Bear just smiled softly and took off his leather jacket, revealing a faded army tattoo on his arm. As the night went on, Emma served them the last of her soup and made coffee from the small tin she'd been saving. They told stories, about the road, about brotherhood, about people they'd lost. And she told them about her husband, a mechanic who'd died fixing a truck on a snowy road. The room filled with warmth that wasn't just from the fire. For the first time in a long time, the storm came faster than anyone expected. Snow hammered the valley, turning the winding road into a white blur. Emma Brooks stood by the window of her small mountain cabin, arms crossed tightly over her chest, watching the flakes swallow the forest. The fire crackled weakly in the old stove, fighting to keep the chill at bay. Her son, 7-year-old Danny, sat on the rug wrapped in a blanket, drawing with the stub of a pencil. The world outside was silent, until the sound of engines shattered the quiet. At first, Emma thought she imagined it. But then it came again, a deep, growling rumble rolling through the snow. She rushed to the window and squinted into the storm. Headlights glowed faintly through the white curtain. There were several of them, moving slowly up her icy driveway. Her stomach tightened. Out here, miles from town, visitors didn't just appear in the middle of a blizzard. "Mom." Danny looked up, sensing her unease. "Who's that?" "I don't know, sweetheart," she murmured. "Stay inside. Don't open the door for anyone unless I say so." The engine stopped. Boots crunched on the frozen ground. Then, a knock, 3 heavy bangs that made the door rattle. Emma's first instinct was to hide. Her mind flashed with memories of bad news and bad people from years past. But the knock came again, louder this time, followed by a deep voice shouting over the wind. "Ma'am. We're sorry to bother you. We're stranded out here. Please, we just need to get warm." She hesitated. She could make out figures through the window, 6 men, all in dark leather, snow crusted on their shoulders and helmets. Bikers. Every headline she'd ever read screamed in her head. But then she saw one of them stumble, nearly collapsing, another supporting him. Their faces were pale, their hands trembling. She took a deep breath and unlatched the door. Cold air and snow blew in as the men blinked in surprise at the small woman standing before them. "Come in," she said, her voice firm. "But wipe your boots and leave your weapons by the door." A few of them chuckled tiredly. The one in front, tall with a dark beard and tired eyes, nodded respectfully. "Yes, ma'am." "Thank you." They filed in, shivering and stamping snow from their clothes. The cabin suddenly felt smaller. Steam rose from their soaked jackets as they crowded near the fire. Danny peeked out from behind the couch, his eyes wide with curiosity. "I'm Bear," the bearded man said, removing his gloves. "We're from the Iron Saints Motorcycle Club. We were heading back from a memorial ride when our bikes froze up. You just saved our hides." Emma nodded but said nothing. She ladled the last of her stew into mismatched bowls and handed them around. The bikers accepted them with quiet gratitude, their hands shaking as they ate. As the hours passed, the tension eased. Bear told her about the club, a group of veterans who stuck together after service, helping wounded soldiers and troubled youth. Emma listened silently.